Welcome to The Explainer. You know that feeling when you've built a really good habit, you're consistent, but you just kind of get stuck? Today, we're diving deep into James Clear's Atomic Habits to figure out how to smash through those plateaus and go from being just good to being truly great. So, here's our game plan for today. We're going to start by talking about why even our best habits can hit a wall. Then, we'll get into how you can use your natural strengths to get an edge. After that, we'll uncover the secret to staying motivated when things get, well, boring. And finally, we'll look at how to turn simple practice into real, actual mastery. Let's do this. All right, first up, let's talk about something I'm betting a lot of you have felt. You've been putting in the work, you've built a solid routine, but the progress you are seeing just stops. That super frustrating feeling? That is the plateau problem. And this, right here, is the million-dollar question. Figuring this out is what separates the people who are just good from those who become great. And spoiler alert, it's not because you're lazy or not working hard enough. It's because you've leveled up, and now you need a whole new strategy. So how do we break through that wall? Well, the first big idea is to make sure you're even playing the right game. It's all about figuring out where your natural advantages are and just leaning into them hard. Okay, you have to see this. This is such a great and kind of weird example from the book. You've got two Olympic gods, Michael Phelps, the swimmer, and Hicham El Guerrouj, the runner. Phelps is a giant, 7 inches taller, and yet they wear the exact same length of pants. How is that possible? Well, Phelps has a super long torso and short legs. He's basically a human boat, perfect for swimming. El Guerrouj has the total opposite, crazy long legs and a short torso, making him a perfect running machine. They didn't just work hard, they were literally built for greatness in their sports. And that brings us right to this quote, which is so important. Your genes don't write your destiny in stone. What they do is highlight your areas of opportunity. The whole point isn't to fight your own nature, it's to work with it. You've got to find that sweet spot where what you're good at naturally meets what you love to do. That's where the magic happens. So, how do you find your own unfair advantage? The book gives us these 4 powerful questions to ask yourself. What feels like play to you but looks like work to everyone else? What do you do that makes you completely lose track of time? You look up and hours have gone by. Where do you seem to get way better results than other people? And what just comes naturally to you? Really think about these. Your answers are like a treasure map pointing you toward your personal strengths. Okay, so you've found your game. Awesome. But here's the thing. That's only half the battle. Now we've got to talk about how to actually stay in the game for the long haul. Because, let's be real, even when you love something, that fire of motivation doesn't always burn bright. Let's take a look at the comedian Steve Martin. To us, it might look like he just exploded onto the scene. But the reality? It was an 18-year grind. He spent a decade just learning his craft, doing these tiny 5-minute sets in clubs that were probably half empty. So what kept him from quitting? He was always making these small, manageable tweaks to his act. He wasn't trying to become a superstar overnight. He was just trying to be a tiny bit better than he was the day before. And this perfectly sets up a key idea from the book, the Goldilocks Rule. We are at our most motivated when we're working on something that's right on the edge of what we can do. It can't be too easy or we get bored, but it can't be too hard or we get discouraged and give up. It has to be just right. That's the challenge that keeps us locked in. This graph just nails it. You can see it right there. On one side, you have the boredom zone. The task is way too easy. On the other side, you've got the failure zone. It's just too hard. But that sweet spot, that Goldilocks zone right in the middle, that's where you find that amazing feeling of flow, where you're so absorbed in what you're doing that the rest of the world just melts away. But here's where it gets really interesting and maybe a little counterintuitive. An elite coach in the book says the biggest thing that stops people from succeeding isn't failure, it's boredom. Think about it. Once a habit is automatic, it stops being new and exciting. And that's the danger zone. That's when most people fall off. And this, right here, is what separates the pros from the amateurs. It's not about having some bottomless well of motivation. Nope. It's about having the discipline to show up and stick to the plan, especially on the days you really don't feel like it. Professionals don't wait to be inspired. They just do the work. They actually learn to fall in love with the boredom of doing the reps. Okay, final stretch. You've found your strengths. You've learned how to push through the boredom. Now we're going to talk about the last piece of the puzzle, how to turn all that repetition into true mastery. This is all about getting off autopilot and getting deliberate with your practice. So here's the crazy paradox of habits. The thing that makes them so powerful, the fact that they're automatic, is also the thing that can hold you back. Once you get pretty good at something, your brain is like, cool, I got this, and it switches to autopilot. You stop actively trying to improve, and boom, you hit that plateau. So the secret, the formula for mastery, is to combine your automatic habits with deliberate practice. You can't just mindlessly go through the motions. You need to have a system to reflect, review, and consciously find those little things you can improve on. These graphs show the ideas so clearly. The one on the left is the habit line. That's a skill becoming second nature. But the one on the right, the mastery curve, that's the next level. You master one small thing until it's easy, and then you use that as a foundation to build the next, slightly harder skill on top of it. It's a never-ending cycle of learning and automating. A perfect real-world example of this is the 1980s Los Angeles Lakers. I mean, this team was absolutely stacked with superstars like Magic Johnson, but they kept falling short. Their coach, the legendary Pat Riley, realized that just having talent wasn't going to cut it. So Riley came up with this brilliant system called career best effort. As you can see, he made a formula that tracked everything, not just the flashy points and assists, but all the little effort plays. Then he gave each player a ridiculously simple goal: improve your CBE score by just 1% over the whole season. That tiny, consistent focus on deliberate improvement, that was the secret sauce. It led them to win back-to-back championships. And that brings us to our last big idea. We've talked about all the how-tos, but now we need to talk about the mindset that holds it all together. Because, believe it or not, even reaching mastery has a hidden trap. This is such a deep insight. The danger of getting really good at something is that we can get too attached to our identity. You start defining yourself as, I'm a great writer, or I'm a CEO. And that identity, it can become a cage. You get so busy protecting it that you shut yourself off from new ideas or criticism that might help you grow. There's this ancient wisdom from Lao Tzu that just says it all. The hard and stiff will be broken, the soft and supple will prevail. The key is to keep your identity flexible. So instead of, I'm a great athlete, maybe it's, I'm the kind of person who loves a physical challenge. That little shift lets you adapt and evolve, no matter what life throws at you. And that's really the ultimate takeaway, isn't it? Mastery is not some finish line you cross. It's an endless process of refinement and improvement. The real secret is to fall in love with that process. So I'll just leave you with this one question to think about. What will you improve by 1% today?